I'm really happy tonight to have Ruby joining us. So Ruby has been one of the beautiful witches inside of Feminine Magic and Money, the mastermind. And she's just had like it's such an interesting container because it's very different, for example, say like than the cohort, which I know you haven't been in the cohort, but it's like very specifically like building your business. And we do like healing and spiritual things in all the ways. But it's much more of like the actual, like the masculine support that's going to give you the foundation so that you can fly, right? And Feminine Magic and Money is like, I remember when I launched it the first time, Melissa or Andrea called it Harry Potter school, and Elise referred to it as witch school when they were seeing it like in my field. And it's way more of like the internal side of the work, right? Like just that deep feminine embodiment of wealth, pleasure, magic, magnetism that allows you to just like move and receive in your life with so much ease. And obviously that spreads over into your business too. But one of the reasons I love the container is because yes, money, obviously, like primarily, right? I am a money teacher, but it's like money's not enough alone to like make us happy, right? And so I'm always a big fan of like, let's create like feel good wealth, with wealth being bigger than money, right? It's like how we're receiving in love, it's how we're receiving in our friendships, it's how we're creating for ourselves, it's how quickly we're able to like move through our wobble so that we can predominantly be in like the juicy part of life. It's how we feel in our bodies, it's how we feel with intimacy, emotionally, sexually. It's all the things that go into feeling like really turned on. And as women, you know, we're built to receive. We do have this very like consistent kind of like yearning for more inside of us, right? And that's not like to say, obviously that can take on a desperate form. That's not what I'm talking about. But I'm just talking about even in a healthy way, we're just like more love, more pleasure, more money, more everything. So we want to learn to move in ways where we're able to receive more with ease so it doesn't move into desperation vibes. And Ruby is a client who had such a beautiful up level in terms of like, well, just like your witchiness for sure. In general, your ability, like you really got into the magic part and like calling things in with speed. We'll get to the story, but I love the story of how you basically like called in that 20K that was like you decided was required for your family and like just worked with magic and all the things that we do to create it so quickly. You stepped into your gifts, which was always a gift I saw for you in terms of how you're helping people in the planet move forward. I can't wait to talk about like your relationship with your husband, how that expanded. And like from an emotional intimacy perspective, and also like juicy sex. We're always fucking here for that. And all the things. So I just loved that you received kind of like this very multi-dimensional, for lack of a better word, up level. And so thank you for joining me tonight.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Thank you for having me. And yeah, I was going to say it's totally Feminine Magic and Money. It's totally witch school. Like that's, that's what I would call it. Cause it is, I mean, I'm learning more too, that like being a witch is truly just like about feeling deeply connected to nature and the universe around us and like full embodiment of that. And that's really all it is. And so I feel like that totally sums up FMM.
Yeah, and it's simple, but arriving to the level of embodiment is not so simple, right? Or like we would have all done it already.
Yeah.
So it's like the end game of just being like magnetic and turned on and tuned in. Like it sounds simple, but we got to like get there, you know?
Yes.
And so that's so much of what the container is about. So first you want to introduce yourself and what you do and kind of like what even brought you into my world and into this container, because this was actually the first time we'd worked together, which was really fun because we got to go like so deep so fast.
Yeah, I mean, I'm here for that, you know that. I only like to go deep. But yeah, so I'm Ruby Nichols. In terms of introducing myself, I have been in like this sort of transitional phase for a while. I left advertising a while ago. I had plans in, I guess, end of 2019, early 2020 to like launch these two amazing things or businesses. And one is travel related called The Almanac. And we like work with rental home hosts, like Airbnb hosts, to curate locally and ethically made goods that are shoppable inside homes. We curate travel immersion experiences to support the local community. And then we also create like local perks, which is a rewards program to like further incentivize people to support the local businesses. So it's really about getting people to like dive deep into the local community and also actually support it with their money. And we kind of launched that finally in November. It got pushed back because of obviously COVID stuff, but that is off the ground now. And we launched in Topanga and are expanding to the desert now, like Joshua Tree, Palm Springs, which we're really excited about. And then on the other hand, I had this like big live event planned, but that is now just going to be an event series that I'll be launching soon under the name The Shift. Is sort of my other business baby. And now newly offering Akashic Records readings, also under The Shift. Like you can find me on IG under that. And all of that fun falls under that. And let's see, in terms of getting into your world, I was just thinking the other day how funny this is, how life like comes full circle, because I told you this funny story that I like first discovered you on the Expanded podcast was where I first heard about you. And that was years ago. And I shared that like somehow you were like subtly triggering for me.
Business as usual for me. Yeah.
You're like, what's new? But it was so funny. I was like self-aware enough at the time to notice it. And it was subtle. It was like an undercurrent. And I was like, I don't really know why I'm triggered by her. It was a little bit of like, who does she think she is? And like, you hadn't launched your business yet at the time, I think. So I was a little bit like, well, what makes her qualified to like be interviewed on a podcast, which is totally my own shit, you know? That's like how I think of myself. So it's just like how funny that I rediscovered you again, I think through some Facebook groups, and you sounded familiar. And yeah, I just sort of like started following you on Facebook. And I was just like, how funny that now here I am sitting on your podcast, being interviewed with you and worked with you like in your container. And yeah, it's just funny with Feminine Magic and Money, how I fell into it was like, I started getting really strong hits towards the end of last year, 2019, that I would just reached a point, especially in my business, where I was getting really, really frustrated with things. Felt like I was like banging my head on the wall over and over again. Like everything felt hard, even though I'm like super inspired and excited by my business, everything just felt hard, you know, and like exhausting. I was like, I'm so tired. I feel like I'm doing a lot for very little. Like I'm not getting a lot of return financially. It just feels like too much work. And I had this major intuitive hit like in November, December, that was like, oh, I was like, I get it. I'm going about it all wrong. Like there's just something about reconnecting to feminine energy and like the feminine way, which is about flowing and receiving and like being that just has an ease about it that I was like, oh my God, I get it. Like that is my next step, is to step into that, to actually be able to expand and move forward in my business. But I knew that I needed a lot of support because I was in an overly masculine, toxic, like advertising environment my whole career. And so it's like, that was the only way I knew. It was like a super hyper masculine, like grind way of doing things. And it just wasn't working clearly. So I had that hit. And then you literally announced, I think FMM like in February, like a couple months later. And I was just like, oh my God, that's it. Because I had never heard of anyone really offering something like this. And I just couldn't believe it was exactly what I knew I needed next. And I knew I needed like support and a little bit of hand holding to like learn this way. It's like relearning, you know, a lot of like retraining ourselves.
And it is for so many women. I mean, no one was raised to do this well. Literally no one.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, that has not been the predominant energy on the planet and our work culture, et cetera. And so when we hear feminine ease, magic, et cetera, like no one really gets what it means outside of like taking bubble baths and like taking care of your body. And like, that's not enough for you to become magnetic, you know,
Yeah.
like, yes, we do those things, but there's a lot of like spiritual ascension and like internal releasing and work, and also actually learning how to work with energy and what to do when things happen for you to receive with ease. It's not just like lean back and like see what happens in life. It gives you this leaned back energy because you feel like you actually know what to do versus just like scrambling to create, which is not a vibe. It's not sustainable. It doesn't work.
Yes, exactly. And like forcing everything or micromanaging everything.
Which we do because we're scared, right? That's like a a fear response is to like want to control. And a lot of women will do it in relationships, do it in the business, do it everywhere. So that brought us together, which is so beautiful. The universe is always showing us exactly what we need when we need it. And you actually listened and didn't delay. And you're like, okay, this is exactly what I'm looking for. Like, sign me up, done. Thank you. Not a lot of dilly dallying. So really love women who are moving like that. So could you tell us like kind of, so just, you told us a little bit about the state of your life and your business in particular coming in. What would you say, you know, because I know we talked about kind of like your relationship, your business, your relationship with wealth, like how was it for you inside of the container? And what were like the biggest shifts that you saw? I mean, obviously I know how I feel like having witnessed it, but I would love to hear in your words.
Oh my God. I mean, I feel like
maybe we can go by category because there was like a lot of different spaces, but I feel like there was just like your ability to actually work with like, you know, because we do a lot of work with like our own bodies and spells and like what to actually do with your psychic gift, right? To do to get it, not even work, but to like get energy moving around you faster, move through things faster, all the embodiment work. So what about like that part and just the embodiment piece, the witch piece, and the moving energy piece?
Yeah, I know, because that's what I was going to say is in response to your question. I was like, I don't know, I felt like I've experienced so many huge shifts on many different levels, like you said, in the past 4 to 5 months. But yeah, that I would say that's one of my biggest ones, was like stepping into my psychic gifts and abilities. Even admitting that I really have them was like a huge step for me, even though it's like something I already knew deep down. You know that I had a lot of resistance to it, and this is due to like, now I know it's due to a lot of like past life trauma. I mean, this is stuff that I've been carrying for many lifetimes. And it's old and runs deep, and it's ancestral too. So yeah, I think having the tools that you provided to actually move through all of that energy and like those blocks that sometimes you don't even subconsciously know that you have, like just by doing all those things and like using the tools you provided, like embodiment tools, helps bring all that stuff up even to the surface, first of all, to like be aware and be acknowledged, and then yeah, to actually just like move through it and actually release a lot of it. I talked about this in my own Instagram video on the shift, but like I call it an exorcism.
Yeah, oh my God, I forgot you did have like an exorcism.
I mean, that's what it felt like. Like my shit was major. I don't know. I was like, is this normal? What is happening? And that was so important though. Thank God I was in this container and like had your support, because anyway, what happened in like a nutshell was like out of nowhere, I was just like doing my meditations and like chanting, which I incorporated. It was something, and one of the tools you introduced us to that's been a game changer for me through Scarlett. And I started doing chanting, and that just, it moved like so much more out of me. I felt like really deep ancestral stuff. That's when I really, really connected to that. And I just started like sobbing, like things were just coming up. It was like guttural cries, like not my usual cry. I was like on my hands and knees by the end of it. This was like during the lunar eclipse and full moon. So it was intense. And I was getting flashes of like past lives where I've been like healers, whether a medicine woman or like a midwife or, you know, a healer in all kinds of ways. And I was like rejected, crucified, possibly killed, punished, all of these things for it. That stuff was coming up. My ancestors and what they've been through, like the women in my family, that started coming up. And it was just like a huge relief. It felt like a huge purge. And I did feel the pain and grief. Like it felt like anguish. It was pretty intense, but it came full circle, because by the end of it, it was like, I felt the release of all that, and I had to feel the feelings. But then by the end, it was like euphoric. Like that's the way I describe it, as I was getting all these beautiful messages just about from spirit about like how supported I am in this lifetime to do that work finally. And that I will not only be supported, but celebrated for that work, I think was the main message that came through. And I mean, by that time I was just like crying happy tears. But it was beautiful. And it was 2 days in a row of releasing these things. And for me, it was like a major pattern of just self-rejection and self-betrayal because of these wounds. So for me, the two big ones was like a motherhood wound around that, like feeling like I had to betray myself and give up parts of myself to be a good mother, which I think so many of us women feel. And then the other was the witch wound, I think, like being true to that side of myself and being a healer. And yeah, just feeling really connected. After that, I just always say that I felt so deeply connected to nature and the universe in a way that I never have in this lifetime. Like, so that just felt like a major, like after those 2 days, I was like, I'm not the same person. I felt completely reborn.
Well, you were. I mean, it was like you reclaimed your soul, which is like what I'm
Yeah.
fucking here for. It's wild.
Yeah.
And this
Yeah.
is
It
why
felt
we
like
have to, I have to like bring people in to tell the stories. I'm like, this is not like me summing up business things that happen for people. These are like deeply, I mean, like, you know, someone makes 10K, et cetera. Like, these are like deeply personal experiences. And this is what I mean by how internal it is that like literally like changes your trajectory. Right. And
yeah.
like when we talk about switching paradigms, it's like everything we're doing even causes like those generational the things. I mean, we all have it. If people want to pretend like they don't have it, that's delusional. We have it from this lifetime, we have it generationally, we have it from past lifetimes, etc. But like what's so important to me, what's so magical about this container, as you saw, is like this is not like you'd been carrying this around for 30 some years, right? And we got to move through it this fast.
Yeah. Yeah. I know.
And you
It's better.
told me when like we had like our Voxer chat, Voxer is like my favorite place to be. And it was like, cool, like this is happening. Like, what should I do? I'm like, go do these specific things for you, because this is how it's coming through that you need to like move your energy. And you did it. And it was just like, oh, okay, boom, like I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah. And even like exactly like before and after that, because like I said, it's like I've never experienced something that intense per se. So
Yeah.
even after something like that, it's like you need a little bit of
Integration.
support. Yeah. Or be like, is that okay? Like, I don't know. Just like what should I do from here, you know?
It's so powerful. And I feel like this was a big thing for you. And we need to remember that, like, so women who are able to receive well are also able to move their emotions and hold space for their emotions in a very like powerful way, right? This was something I ultimately had to learn. Like, no wonder I'm teaching it. And I feel like this was big for you, was like being able to create this new relationship with emotions. You know, I'm always talking about like alchemizing our pain into pleasure, lean into the edges, let it be sexy, create from it. And it gets easier and easier. And while I can say that, it's very different for someone to like have the felt experience. I feel like you had the felt experience of like what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm glad you brought up the emotional piece because that's huge for me. And like for me, that did feel like the big key, like missing piece for me stepping into this next level and like learning how to really transmute and alchemize because I've had a lifelong struggle with my emotions, as I think a lot of women do, especially a lot of women in my particular culture, like Asian women. It is like, oh, we have like a pretty unhealthy,
Well, you're
generally
told
speaking.
not to have any.
Yeah, it's literally like I didn't even know. I was so out of touch with my emotions that like most of the time I didn't even know I had them. Like you can't even identify them. You're just like, I don't know. I feel horrible. Like I don't know what that is. And yeah, it's like just allowing space for it. That's been my probably my biggest like breakthrough tool and like skill that I've taken from this because that is the game changer. Is like learning how to make space for emotions, allowing them, learning how to move through it and like just allowing them to come up and release. And then seeing for once what's on the other side of that. It's literally like, you know, do you want to carry it for 2 days or a lifetime?
Literally, because you've been carrying it for a lifetime, whether you've addressed, you know what I mean? So it's like we may as well get there and create this like beautiful relationship because the level of intimacy that we have with self in that way is going to start being like reflected back in our experiences in the outer world where they feel far more nourishing and supporting, you know, the whole mirror concept. And I feel like for you that directly translated, well, not feel no, obviously, but like directly translated to your marriage. And I feel like that's a good like kind of segue because you weren't asking. It's not like you had to go ask him for like this, that, and the other. You know, maybe if you want to share like kind of obviously you're happily married, but just like these little ways where the relationship is feeling like wonky. Everyone has this experience and like what you're desiring more of. And it was so cool because We didn't even have to be like, go say this, go say that. It's not even about that. Just like with money so often, it's like
Yeah.
who you are from the inside starts getting reflected back in the outer world. And in your relationship, right? That's the masculine energy that's around you. We're focused on feminine embodiment, you know, our witchy stuff, etc. That's going to create the polarity with the masculine. Money's masculine energy too, right? If we're into masculine partners, man or woman, like, so we start like attracting in a very different way without really having to do anything.
Yeah. Yeah, no, totally. I would say it's just, it's about your energy. Like, it's not
Yeah.
about having to say or do specific things. It was the fact that my energy shifted and then everything shifted around me. Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to bring up, like, so I've been married, well, let's see, I've been with my husband for 15 years total. Like, that's a while. 15 years. I'm married almost 10 years, very happily married. I mean, my relationship is one of the greatest things in my life for sure. But I feel like it's important to say this because for me personally, and I think I mentioned this to you before, that somehow for us, our relationship specifically, the one thing we get asked the most, or people always think, is that like we're somehow perfect, or people are always asking, like, do you guys even argue? Like, all these things. And for whatever reason, like, it seems like we portray this like picture of like a perfect marriage or relationship, which, like, yes, people can genuinely feel the love and support we have for each other, and it's deep. But I almost like don't like when people think that everything's just like perfect all the time, and everything's like super lovey-dovey all the time, and like your sex life is perfect all the time, like things like that. I just think
It's not real life.
it's not realistic. And I always say the reason I love our relationship and why it's so powerful is just because it's real. Like, it's not because it's perfect, that doesn't exist. It's just so real. And that means, like, there are so many natural ebbs and flows, just like everything in life, marriage too. You know, you're going to go through phases that feel like the honeymoon phase, and then go through really difficult things. And so I think with COVID happening all of last year, like, that is intense. It was a major strain on us, as it was for, I think, everybody, especially parents. We have 2 young kids. So it's like they were home with us day and night, every single minute of the day for 6 months. I don't even know how we did that, thinking back now. And then the schooling, the homeschooling thing, like, it was a lot. And so I think between all of that buildup, like, I just felt like we were the most distant we had ever been, like, ever, in a different way. And you know, there are times when, like, that is concerning, or you're kind of like, what's going on? Like, we just feel really distant, both like emotionally and intimately. And it's like, it kind of makes sense because all of the buildup of all of those things is like, it is kind of like the least sexy time. You know, it's like not really in the mood for that stuff after everything we're dealing with. So it's normal, but I recognized too, when we started the container, I was like, you know, I feel like some shame around it almost. I think because society makes us constantly feel pressure to be like always perfect, always hot and heavy, like everything's juicy all the time, which is just not. And then you start wondering, like, are we okay? Like, oh no, like we're not, you know, it just things like, is this normal?
Spiraling. Yeah.
There's a lot of like, is this normal? Which, like, what the fuck is normal?
Exactly. I always say that.
Yeah. So I think, like, I didn't say it aloud per se, but like, you know, when I joined the container, I was like, okay, this is about getting in touch with my feminine energy. Like, that absolutely is going to be a part of my relationship with my husband and how it affects us. And so I did, you know, deep down, I was like, yeah, I want this to bring some kind of transformation for our relationship, too, as like a nice byproduct, I think is how I put it. And I was just shocked that, like, I think it was literally 2 weeks in, and we had like I'm saying, this period of feeling distant and whatever was like this was over several months. It was like the longest time that we felt this way. And in 2 weeks after I started that container, I felt like my energy already started shifting. I mean, we started having juicy sex, like, right. Like, I was like, we're 2 weeks in. Like, that's crazy.
You know, that's what I'm fucking here for. So I love it.
Yeah, I just feel like it brought us back to each other is the way I described it. Like, I really feel like it brought us back to each other. We were even emotionally and all the other ways, like, able to be much more open and intimate with each other, like have the hard conversations. And you know, one thing I said to you is like, this is relating to the feminine energy and being embodied in it, is like, I realized early on, I was like, oh, I get it. I'm like really micromanaging him a lot.
I
And
remember
I like
that.
that.
Yeah.
And
Women do this so much.
women do this so much. It's like our twisted way of showing we care too.
By
It's like,
mothering our husband.
yeah, like it's like
Not
mothering.
a vibe.
It's not, it's, I was like, that is the least sexy thing in the world. Like, who would want to sleep with somebody who's micromanaging them? Like, so I just, that was a big realization. And then it reminded me of when we first started dating. And I was like, oh yeah, when we first dated, it was like so fun and light. And it was because I was like so hands off about everything. I was just like, whatever, like like you figure it out, you take care of it. Like I just allowed him to take care of things and it worked. And so I started doing that. Like suddenly I think my energy shifted where I just like was hands off and didn't care as much. And it was pretty instant. Like the energy just changed. Or our
And I
dynamic.
love this because I feel like there's two styles kind of in this relationship space where it's like women will want to go learn all the rules, like what to do, what to not to do, what to say, what not to say. And yeah, sometimes we do need some support there when we feel like we're in like shaky territory, etc. And then there's the camp where it's like, okay, well, if we just get actually into our own feminine energy and what that means to us, right? Because we're like snowflakes, everybody's different. There's no like one definition.
Yeah,
It does create this energetic lean back that brings them forward, but you don't have to try. So you don't have to worry about rules or like how to create this like hot environment or whatever, because it makes your life so much easier because you just like become the woman who's actually receiving what she wants to receive and you don't have to try.
absolutely.
So
Which
then you
brings,
don't have to stress out about like, am I doing the
yeah.
right thing or not? Because it's just like your vibe.
Yeah, there's none of the overthinking. And exactly like you said, it's the ease piece. It's like you want to do that with ease and by doing less, you know?
Exactly. And that's part of why I love this work so much because and then what happens is it starts translating everywhere. So we tend to master it in one area first, or women will come to me and they're kind of like, you know how like we'll have one area usually that's like going better than the other. Like, right, you were talking about, okay, your relationship has been a very solid place, even though you've had this moment and you know what happened during COVID and we were able to, you know, you're able to shift your energy back really quickly. That's amazing. That was like maybe a little less sticky for you than like some other places. We're all like that. So what
Yeah.
happens though is like so I'm not surprised actually for you that like it showed up in love first because that's where you were naturally like the most, oh, you didn't maybe know what to do or how to get there, but you had enough, you were like more open there, right? So the work first came there and it was like,
Yeah.
oh, I also feel like it's the universe's way of creating evidence. Like, oh, okay, like I shifted this in like 2 weeks. Cool.
Yeah.
And I will say, Ruby, you've been amazing. You showed up to everything. You did everything. You were like so coachable, so phenomenal. Getting
Oh,
results is easy, ladies, if you just like show up and do the things and follow the advice.
yeah. Thank
And
you.
also obviously like be there to receive because so much of feminine magic and money is like the transformation is happening and what we're doing when we're live, you know, or in the practices that you have for in between.
Yeah.
So it's very, I always say it's a way more of like a being container than a doing container, which I
Yeah.
actually like about it.
I love that. And I love that you said that up front because that also, like, as soon as you said that, I was like, 1000%, that's exactly what I'm here for and like what I need right now, you
We
know?
all need that. And
Yeah.
it's, you know, we can go do other things for other areas, but it's really important to have experiences like this. So that is so beautiful. So then one of the experience, another thing that I thought was so cool. So obviously we started working more with witchcraft and spells, and you were learning how to like, you know, move your emotions and all energy, moving energy and all the things. And then I remember obviously like you came in, and I want you to tell the story in your words, but around this like 20K that you called in for your family, because I feel like you hit this like fuck this point, like this is happening, we need to have this, this is what I want, which is a really amazing vibe to be working with because it's like you've
Yeah.
already creating that like certainty with the universe, then we just go do the other things. And for me, watching you go through it, because you told me about it, I'm like, okay, again, let's do this, this, and this. And I'm like, oh, it's totally gonna fucking happen. You know, because I've done this so many times, especially with
Yeah.
money. But I'm sure for you, it felt like a very, very different experience. And I just think it's
Yeah.
so cool because yes, the work is magic, but like you also create results on purpose. And this is what I mean when I talk about being a witch. It's like, you know what to do to get things working in your favor. They don't all happen overnight. Obviously, we need practice, but like, it's pretty consistent. It's pretty
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that one felt like a big one for me because just as you said, for me, money in my work, and especially money, I would say, has been my like sticking point. It's felt like difficult. Because I definitely had blocks around here. And yeah, that whole instance was another time where I felt literally reborn after that. I also was not the same person after that. But it felt like a sort of rock bottom for me energetically, where like the universe was really pushing me. And yeah, what happened around that was like we were like trying to refinance the home, like all of these things. So it felt sort of high stakes, you know, like we had a deadline, we had to get everything in. And like at the time, my husband's job was just, they were late on like months and months of payments. It was over months. And so it was like, yeah, 20K or so that we were waiting on. And like everything hinged on like our loan refinance going through, everything hinged on that coming through. And it just kept building and built, like the time kept passing and passing. And we were getting so close to the deadline. And I just started like panicking. And I feel like it was a huge triggering thing actually for both me and my husband. It actually triggered like a lot of our old money trauma stuff, scarcity, all the shame kind of starts coming, even if it like doesn't really make sense for the situation. Like, even though it's not our fault.
Matter. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, it's obviously not our fault. Like we didn't do anything wrong, but it brings up all these things of like, oh my God, are we doing the right thing? Like, how am I going to take care of the family? Like, am I a bad parent? Like all this stuff just started coming up. And yeah, I remember I reached out to you guys immediately because it felt like a total rock bottom and like my nervous system was freaking out. And thankfully you held my hand through that so much. You're like, do this. Because it's like in that point, you need somebody to just look at you and be like, do X, Y, and Z right now. And the biggest thing, which we talked about for me, that really did start to shift things was fully allowing all of those fears and like icky feeling things to like fully express and come up, because so much of why we feel stuck or like bad is because we're trying so badly to like suppress, like hold it down because it feels like, oh, once you release it, then it's real, then it's like really that bad. Right. But it's necessary, I think. And so I just gave myself, I think it was, I mean, I really just gave myself a matter of hours really, but it was like that one day I was like, okay, I need to like really let myself feel it. And I sat and cried really hard for like hours on end. I think it was like 2.5 hours straight. And it was just like all the, just all the trauma, the old stuff coming up. I was like heaving. I was like, like crying that hard, like ugly crying. But then it was like, I did that. I did all the things, I forget the exact tools you said, but like,
I don't remember it, but I remember the spells. It was like the most release. We did spells.
Yeah, spells is a big one.
And there was some kind of, there was a few things that came through that were specific to you that I don't remember off the top of my head now. And this is also the way my energy works, is like when someone is like, okay, this is coming up, this is what's going on. Like I will just receive the information for that person around what to do, whether it's something we already did in the container or not. Which is another reason I really love this container, because it's like you have direct access to me constantly, because this is how we really learn this stuff, is to like be in motion. It's not like, oh, go be in a course, and then later when something happens in your life, it's like real time helping you move through it, because this is how you learn mastery.
Yes.
It's to be like held through it while it's happening,
Yes. Which was that was a total game changer. And I needed that so badly in the moment. It's about,
and this was like your deepest trauma.
Also. Yeah, it was some of my deepest, I think, for both of us, which is why it felt so intense. And yeah, after that, I was like, oh my God, I feel totally reborn. I also was just at that point too, where I was like, I just fully trust, I'm going to put my full trust in the universe that like, it's going to happen. And I don't know, over the course of just like those 3 days or so, it was like that. It was 2 days. It was 2 days, but I turned around so quickly where I actually went from rock bottom to like, I feel like this is my pattern too. It's like, I hit this rock bottom, I do the things, and then I'm literally soaring at like my highest. Like I went from rock bottom to like a high, which was absurd to me because I was like, nothing has changed. The money, I'm like, the money still hasn't come through. And I was like, so happy. I didn't know what, I was almost like, what is wrong with me? I'm just so high on life right now. Like I had all these downloads
Because
coming through.
when we do the things, you stop living in reaction to the world, right? So we did
Yeah.
all the things, which creates this knowing in your body and your energy that it's happening fucking no matter what, this is working out. I'm not available for another solution. But rather than trying to think your way into that, you actually felt it emotionally and energetically. So all of a sudden, right, this is what I talk about, the power of being able to move through things quickly, is you're like, we're good. And then what happened?
Yeah. And then the money dropped like that. I mean, we were waiting on it forever. And it was just like the minute that I was like, I was like, this sounds crazy, but I kind of don't
Don't
fucking
care.
care. I was like, I don't fucking care if this money comes. Like, I was just in such a great place. Like, I was like, I don't know. I'm happy. Like, things are just going to work out, whether it comes or not. Like, it's just, I just know, when you're in that deep place of trust where you're like, I just know the universe has me and it's going to work out. Then it was like, boom, like it came through and I was like, of course it did.
Yeah, of course.
You always say.
Oh, how I was feeling a few days ago was nothing.
Like, even though I was crying and stressing for like months, and then suddenly you're like, oh yeah, I knew that was gonna happen.
I just love that. I love watching other, because I know this, but I love watching, like seeing this happen for my clients. And especially, like I said, in this container, because I'm so present, like, we're like there every day as much as you want to be in terms of being able to connect.
Yeah.
And that's so beautiful. And for you to be able to move energy and have like $20,000 come in, like that's a big deal for someone who's had felt a lot of like money trauma. That does not sound like in the realm. Like if someone had told you that you were going to be able to do that months before, you wouldn't have believed it.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Not through
absolutely.
your energy. You would have thought you had to do 10,000 things.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Because you're like, well, how is that going to happen? Like all the hows, I don't see how.
I love that. And then too, obviously, and then that moved into your another area, like you were already obviously like tuned in, but your psychic gift like really went to the next level, right? Like to the point as well of you receiving like, well, because you weren't sure what it was. But to me, what it came through is when you told me about like the types of dreams you were having, I was like, oh, you're being downloaded with like information for the collective, because this is intended to be this is part of your mission on the planet to share this, etc. And I know that was like kind of scary for you to even step into sharing that kind of information. But I noticed like your content got really fucking hot and like
Thanks.
and you really started like showing up really powerfully with this part of you, which is now extended into you supporting other people with your gifts. And this was also a major sticky area for you. So I'd love for you to talk about that, like kind of where you were and how we got here, because now you're on the other side of it, which is also huge.
I know. I mean, it's insane when I think back even a few months ago. I'm like, I mean, I am really like in awe a lot of times. I'm proud of myself too for showing up, but I also know that I absolutely like need it. Like now I'm all about like just get the support you need, because sometimes we just need that to move through our
all the time. I
all the
don't know
time.
what anybody's waiting for.
Yeah.
This is not a lone. If you want to lone wolf this, you're going to be doing another 10, 20 years with life exactly like it is right now. There's just no reason. And Ruby, I would love for you to share too, because you had a lot of money stories, money trauma. However, you were like, cool, what's the investment done? So like,
it was the biggest investment that I ever spent for myself. Like,
yeah, it's a substantial investment because it's a fucking substantial, because it needs to be. I know.
I think, I mean, there are times, well, first you do sometimes reach a point, right, where you're just like, fuck it. Like, I'm tired of whatever I've been working through and like trying to do it on my own miserably.
Yeah.
And so that was part of it. It was like, I'm just going to like do what it takes. And two, I just had such a deep knowing. Like, I mean, I feel like we obviously have like a lot of divine sort of connections. Like, obviously I was meant to go through this with you. And it was just one of those things for me that was unquestionable. Like the fact that I got such a strong hit about this like 2 months before and didn't know anything like it existed. And then the minute I heard it, it was just like a full body, 1,000% yes. Like there was no There was no question. And I didn't know the investment at the time. I didn't know anything. I just knew when you said the container and what it was, I was just like, that is exactly what I've been looking for. Like, that's what I know I've needed. And so for me, it was just like a really strong intuitive hit too. So I remember, yeah, when we got on the call, I was like, yeah, it's not a small investment. And like I said, money has been like a stress point for me, but I just knew it was something I had to do. Like it's also like you always say, it's showing up for yourself at a certain level that is also going to get the results.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I've been doing it the whole way through also, you know, and it's like, we do have to, just what you said, we have to show up for ourselves in these big, scary ways if we want to see life also make quantum changes, which like clearly yours has, and like in every area of life, you know, like, and that's what's so powerful to me about this containers. We are able to hit like everything. So, okay. So going back to your psychic gifts, because that was wild as well.
Yeah. And it's so funny because, of course, I think you also, it was like barely a weekend, maybe 2 weeks.
Well, I already knew where we were headed when I didn't even, we had literally, Ruby, the only time we had talked was like voice messenger over Facebook, you know, and I was like clear as day from that point. I was like,
really?
Well, yeah, I knew then. I told you early.
Yeah, no, it was early.
Point, but once we started.
Yeah, once you started. And yeah, exactly. You said this. And it's so crazy that like this was again, like not even 5 months ago, really, 4 months or so, that I just couldn't even see it for myself. Like you were just like, oh, obviously you're supposed to be using these like powerful psychic gifts and intuitive gifts to help people. And I was like, yeah, like sort of. I had so much resistance to it and I really couldn't fully see it for myself. And so yeah, I remember you said it many times and I was also laughing because this was recent, but like a little while ago when I was like, wow, that was only like back in April. That like to me, it was like news, you know, like, oh, you could be helping people doing this. Like that was kind of news to me. And I was like, that was only 4 months ago. And like, here I am actually doing it. And then you were like, I've been telling you since April, like it's been forever. And I was like, I just moved through like lifetimes of trauma, like in a matter of months. Like,
Jocelyn, relax.
Yeah, I was like, that is fucking fast. Okay.
It's totally fast. I'm just teasing you.
No, I know, but I thought that was hilarious. I was like, whoa. But yes, you kept saying that. And I also so yeah, that happened. And then one of the things holding me back that I did want to mention, which is like integrated in all of this, is I knew there's something about like me sharing, right, these gifts, like being able to do things live and talk to people, even doing like one-on-one readings live. All of that felt very scary to me, which is part of why I just like rejected it, because I like have been dealing with PTSD, whatever, anxiety stuff for so long, where I kept getting like major anxiety attacks anytime anything's like live or like talking to somebody one-on-one. It felt like a huge, massive block where I was like, yes, I know that I would want to do all of these things in my future, but I just don't see how I can if I can't get past this thing. Like it was so scary. And in the time we've been together, like I started finally hosting lives on my Instagram, which already felt like a massive breakthrough as well. And like that, doing all those things is actually what got me to like get to this point where I could actually see myself doing this, you know? I mean, here we are on a podcast interview. So like, yeah, it was like, that was a massive breakthrough too. And it just in thinking how far I came there. But
we did a lot of workarounds too. One of the areas, right, that's huge for women is like our voice and our throat chakra and that space and the connection between our womb, our heart, and our throat. And a lot of what we were doing across all the women who were leading was like in those spaces.
Absolutely. Yeah, because it's been suppressed in so many ways too for us. So yeah, that was a major part of it. And yeah, in terms of the psychic gifts, like it did just get more stronger and stronger and like more intense and more intense, as you know, with some like crazy ass dreams that I was having, like just some crazy experiences. And I did actually feel pretty scared by it, to be honest. Like, I think sometimes when these things happen, like you said it before too, especially with intuitive gifts and stuff, it's like it's such a full body thing that you're allowing to come through you, that like you do have to fully let go and let go of control. And it is this kind of feeling of like, what's happening to me? Or like, I don't understand like what's happening to my body right now. Like this feels weird and new. So yeah, even some of the dreams I had were like really scary to me for a bit. And so it was a big deal to like be able to in real time reach out to you like right after I had the dream to share it, and for you to just immediately be like, oh yeah, that's totally normal. Like that's what I think this is. Like that made all the difference for me, I think.
That's beautiful. I love the real-time connection too, like I keep saying. And also something else that was happening for you is because I think too why it felt also so crazy. So one, what you were telling me was clearly symbolically that you were receiving messages for the collective about things that were coming, which was true. And then also it was like you were starting to learn how to like work on the astral plane, which
Yeah.
it feels very different than being in like a normal dream.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's why it felt scary too, because you're
Yeah.
literally like present in this other dimension that is like not on the earth plane, but it's real, and your body like knows it's real, and you're like, what am I doing here? But it's like this happens to me too, where it's like, but I
Yeah.
can go in and I can ask questions and be in certain situations, and it's like you're working through all these things. It probably is like 3 seconds of human time, but in the dream it's like so many different things.
Yes, totally. Yeah, I mean, for me, it was like also just connecting with these other beings. Like, I think for me, that
Oh yeah, the
what felt-
alien. I was like, fab, that's
yeah.
fun. You're like, this is scary. I'm like, no, this is amazing.
Yeah. I mean, it is cool, but you're a little like, have I fucking lost my mind? Like, because there's also the clairaudient thing where I've started to like hear a lot more, and I always did before too, but it's just like on different levels, you know. And
Yeah.
so, like hearing my name being freaking called I mean, that's like, and in a non-human voice, like a very specifically non-human voice. I was like, what the fuck is happening right now? But yeah, you're right. It's like once you just embrace it and accept it, it's actually really really cool and really amazing.
And I think it's cool too, because once again, with how I teach and how I lead, it's not like this is how you expand your gifts. This is how blah, 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 blah. All these
Yeah.
things are a byproduct of
Yeah.
you getting your cup clear, right? And
Yeah.
learning all the things that we do to actually be in your feminine energy. The feminine energy is wildly connected to the divine, obviously, divine feminine, right? And the intuition, and like that's our whole jam.
Yeah.
So while it shows up for us in different ways, like not everyone's going to hear things, right? Some people just are know things, feel things, etc. And you have like a number of gifts turned on. Like to me, very obvious that your gifts expanded and you started having these crazy experiences while we were doing everything we were doing. Also, because we were moving through, there was a lot of generational trauma release too, right? And healing around your witch room and helping you understand like what all these things were. Because I feel like this was something for you too, is just sort of being confused by all of this stuff. Like, what does this all,
Yeah.
how do you didn't know how to put it together.
Yes. Yeah. Which I think is probably a really common
It's
thing.
extremely common. I had no support during my psychic awakening. It was a total shit show, as everybody knows who's listened to my story.
I mean, yeah,
It wasn't your first one, but
yeah, yeah. But
yeah.
that's scary. It's scary.
I was terrified. It was horrible.
Yeah. Because I was terrified and I have support.
And I was young, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I can
Yeah.
definitely see that. That's
Not
fun.
that age matters, but I was literally going from like no awareness, no spirituality to like full blown, like all of a sudden.
Yeah, that's intense.
It did not go well.
Yeah, now that I think about it, I'm like, maybe I'm grateful that mine has felt like a two-stage thing. Like I had my first sort of awakening 6 years ago or so, 5 years ago. Yeah, 2016 was when I became a mother. It's never fun. It was definitely hard. But I feel like this second level has been like really fully my psychic gifts coming online and like changing, yeah, even some of my career trajectory and just how I'm showing up in the world and in my work. It's never, I think what I was telling you before that's so amazing is like, I feel like we all joined FMM, because we all knew deep down that we wanted some kind of major transformation.
But no one knew exactly what it was.
But you never know. It's like, that's the human thing, is we never know what the hell that's going to look like. And I just would have never, it's like, even as obvious as it was to you, apparently, I just would have never.
Like, I don't know what you're smoking, but
yeah. But I'm like, even like a month ago, I'm like, even a month ago, because everybody, when I announced it, they were like, well, I didn't know. I had no idea that like you even did that or like would do it. And I was like, I didn't either. I was like, I didn't know a month ago. I would have never seen this for myself. Like, that's wild.
it's so beautiful. And then, yeah, it's so cool to me. I love this space so much because it is like mysterious in a certain way, yet like so wildly transformational, but like in ways you can't predict. I mean,
Yes.
I can predict for a lot of people, like when I know what someone's coming in with, like I'll be able to tell. But like for you being in your seat, it's hard to know, and you just like came in with full trust and showed up fully. And like that's a lot, like basically in 4 or 5 months, right? We did what people are going for like years.
Yeah.
Talk about
And I know
collapse
that
time.
because I struggled with it for years.
There's no reason to. So
Yeah.
how was your experience? I know there's a lot of different women teaching inside the container, so you don't have to like go through them each individually, but like what was your experience just kind of like working with all of us and experiencing some like very embodied women who are like really in their power, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm sharing with you their behind the scenes and their process. And I feel that all the guest experts are also very different from each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which was really important to me to show like that the range of the feminine, because I think we've had these distortions that it looks like very specific ways, and I'm like, actually not at all. And I also love showing that you can make like a shit ton of money doing what all these women do, which is very mysterious, right?
Yeah.
Like we are just in this era of channeled wisdom, the divine, and everyone who I bring in to teach, obviously including myself, is doing that and doing that at like a high level. So one, you get like the expansion of seeing that this is real, right? You get to have this. And two, obviously the transformation that goes with it, because to have that level of success, you have to really deeply embody this work, which means you've really been able to help people,
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think it was amazing. Like, the reason I said I feel like every woman should do it is like you said, none of us have really been taught or supported in like learning how to fully embody our divine feminine, just our feminine energy, and like what is it even? I feel like people don't even know. We're so disconnected that like we don't even know what it is. That's how out of touch we are with it. And just like things like being connected to our womb space, like I loved doing that session because yeah, what happened for me, and I think that was our first one, so it was really early on, but I think it was an important realization, was that for me, what came through that session was like, it was so much untapped potential. That was the message I kept getting, was like, there's like untapped potential. And like you said, so many women don't even like, we just don't even think about our womb space. And
we
yet
don't even feel it. We don't even,
no, we're
all the
numb.
association is like, oh, my annoying period. Like that, not the vibe.
Yeah, we literally like try to numb ourselves to it, which is so sad. And it's literally our power center, which that was like a big realization for me. I was like, oh, I just like didn't really think about it. So I think that's most women. And yeah, I think all the guest people that you brought in really introduced me. I feel like every single one was something new. Like, I personally didn't even know about some of these things. Like, we did cervix de-armoring. Like, I was like, what the hell is that? Like, I just had never heard of it.
You're like, I'm really going to trust this woman. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah. I mean, but that's the point of the container too, right? It does require a certain level of trust.
Oh, totally.
Point. So I just think it's like all these different areas, it's skills and tools and like awakenings in ways that most women right now in our society we're just not even aware of. And these are all tools and things that could be at our disposal, which is really powerful.
Well, it's almost like I feel the way that I think about it. I mean, obviously, these are women that I've either worked with or I know are friends, but like I really know their work, so I'm obviously confident. I only want to bring my clients the best experiences. But I'm like, it's like we're modern day medicine women.
Yeah, actually, you're right. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, we just got on
Nothing.
like more makeup and some fancier clothes and stuff.
Totally, which I'm here for.
But that's essentially that's what's
Yeah.
happening.
Oh my God, you're right. That's so true. I love that. Yeah, because it's reconnecting us with a lot of ancient wisdom, honestly, is what it is that we have forgotten. So, yeah, I just think that can be, it's so life changing. I loved it because every experience was just very eye opening for me. Like I said, I came in like not even, I hadn't even heard of some of these things. And it has changed. I feel like I got something out of every single one that I was able to incorporate into like almost my daily life or just my practice in some way, that is game changing, I think.
Thank you, Ruby. So, is there anything else that we didn't cover that you'd like to share? Oh, I think the sisterhood component, because like there's nothing we don't talk about. So,
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to, you don't want, like, not you,
Oh,
but
yeah.
sorry, but just like we go to the depths of like I feel like
Yeah.
one of the big things I noticed is how everyone was so grateful that we could just talk about these things that we have no one to talk to about.
Yes. Yeah, that's a huge part of it. I mean, I'm all about radical honesty now. That's like my jam. And I think people in general are ready for that stuff, to be just like super honest and truthful and authentic, and having a space to feel like safe to do that first, I think, is really important. Yeah, I remember right off the bat in the beginning, like I actually didn't expect or think that I would immediately share some of the things I did that were so personal. But I think also just being in the container and doing the things we're doing, it like immediately opens you up, I think, to be in this like honest space and an authentic space where it just feels right and it feels safe. And so, yeah, I feel like that's really sacred.
I
And
do too. And it's really important to me in all of my containers. And because I don't feel like it's that easy to find that level of intimacy when we go sign up for different, well, mine's a mastermind programs, whatever, at least in my experience, like intimacy has always been important to me. Well, especially like FMM is like my highest level container, right? So like it's set up in a way where I can really create it a lot. But I'm always like, if we're live, I'm always intimate. But I mean, it's even more intimate because we're like Voxer and by the nature of the work we're doing is just, it's
yeah,
intimate. But also this is how you like gain magnetism and get in touch with yourself and start like feeling your life and actually loving it and enjoying it because you're like so connected. So we need to be intimate to get there.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, it's just not an experience I'd really had in a group before, to be really honest. So I was like, just would find myself in groups and just kind of like, I'm like, I'm gonna create something that's a fucking vibe because we can go and I go so deep so fast, like with anyone. So I'm very like, I love the feeling of connecting with people in that way.
yeah,
But I haven't found it very often. So it was important for me to create it.
yeah. I think, like you said, it is special and it's unique because it's like no subject is off limits, because it's so all encompassing and about embodiment in all areas of our life. Any area, it's like literally anything is game. Like we can talk about anything, any topic is okay. Which I think is important because we're holistic people. Like, you know what I mean?
Totally.
They all
And I
bleed into each
designed it
other.
that way on purpose because it's just a space for it. I just feel like that's why it feels so nourishing to be part of too, is because you get to be a whole human in such a
Yeah.
beautiful way. And also because like I said, it's a being and receiving container, not a doing one. It's like you just show up as you are. There's something really specific you have to go do after. Like obviously if there's actions you need to take in your life, I'm going to tell you ladies, but like and it's up to you if you do it or not. But it's very different, I feel like, than a lot of other work.
Yeah. And I just like one thing I wanted to stress again that you brought up earlier that I do think is so useful and so important is the personal access to you and like really custom catered feedback and insight using your intuitive gifts is so like unique and special because you do receive so much for each of us, like in real time, in the moments that we actually need it. the fact that it's like completely specific to you and it's channeled through to you is really special. I think like,
And
yeah.
it's also something else I'd never experienced that in a group, you know? So like, thank you for saying that because that part's so important to me and I really like helping in that way. And also that's how my gift like you know, it's just very clear when I hear people talking what's going on.
Yeah.
And I love just being able to create like the group intimacy, but mixed with like you being addressed individually.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good,
You're
it's
not feeling
a good
like
mix.
lost in the container, you know?
Yeah. I think it's a great mix of both.
Beautiful. Okay, well, what would you say to anyone who's on the fence considering joining?
I mean, I'm like, what more can I say? Like, I mean, yeah, I think, you know, I'm a living, breathing example of like the major shifts that I made, not even in just one area, but my whole across the board in my life, which, and just in the amount of time, like the speed that it happened is pretty incredible.
Because at this point, we've only, because we're still in FMM, so
Yeah,
it's been 4
like 4
months.
months. Yeah,
Yeah.
4 months. That's crazy. That's like a season. Um, so yeah, and I haven't, you know, so far I haven't seen any other thing out there quite like this. I feel like it's really unique and it's a great like all around experience. It's just very like all encompassing. So, and you're amazing. Like your intuitive gifts are incredible. So that also is, yeah, just amazing.
Thank you so much, Ruby. Well, how should anyone get in touch with you who would like to connect with you and receive your powerful information? Ruby is an incredibly powerful channel to the divine. I had an Akashic session with her that was like fully on point and allowed me to just like drop in, resituate in like 24 hours, which is exactly what needed to happen. So I definitely recommend a reading with her. My clients offer the most incredible work.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram at theshift.is is the handle. SHIFT, the shift. And yeah, I'm trying to think. My other business too that you could follow is the Almanac, and it's spelled with a Q, ALMANAQ.
I'll put your links in episode notes too.
Yeah, that'll be helpful. But yeah, and you can book readings with me anywhere there on the shift. I have my Calendly link and all that you can book. And I just opened up some dates for September as well. So
beautiful. All right, ladies. Yay. Feel free to message me about Feminine Magic and Money. Pre-sale closes end of day tomorrow. So this is your only chance to save $888 on the container. There's some yummy pay in full bonuses. There's an extended payment plan, making this as easy as possible for you. Like Ruby said, every woman should have this experience.
Yes.
I love
it
them so much.
Yes, thank you so much. It's been life-changing.
Oh, you're welcome. I love you, Queen. I'll talk to you soon.
Love you. All right.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.